Hi, today we are here to talk about conflict at VBS. This is Joyce Alexander. I am the director of preschool at Calvary Baptist Church in Dothan, Alabama. If you need to reach me and ask any questions, maybe I go too fast or you just need some clarifications, please just call me at 334-792-5159, or you can email me at joyce@calvarydothan.com. That's JOYCE@CALVARY Dothan.com. So, what about conflict at VBS? We don't have conflict at VBS, do we? Sure as the sun comes up, there'll be conflict. And a lot of these things we're going to talk about work for um, any situation, really. So you would have these options possibly of who you might have conflict with. You could have a volunteer and a VBS director. There could be a conflict there. A volunteer and a volunteer. That's two people that work together. Maybe they're not getting along. Or a parent plus the VBS director. Or parents and a volunteer. And you just say, what do you do? You know, um, so the sources of conflict, this is usually what happens. This is what causes the conflict. Communication failure, change. We've never done it like this before, and so they come thinking it's going to be the same as it always has been, and you've made a change. Personality differences, that's especially common between volunteer and volunteer because they have different volunteers. And unmet expectations. Um, like they thought that it was going to be this way, like I said, and it isn't what I thought it was going to be. So, knowing the types of conflict at VBS and the usual sources of conflict, how can we manage? How to handle conflict at VBS? Conflict framework is what it's called. So, we need to keep a gospel lens. Um, Remember, gospel first, solution second. Give people the benefit of the doubt. We don't know what kind of week they've had, how their morning went, or what they're dealing with at work or at home. Behavior is communication. Um, if someone is flying off the handle, there's a 99.9% chance there's something under the surface that's causing the outburst. So that's the framework. Keep a gospel lens, benefit of the doubt, and behavior is communication. So how do we handle it? There's 5 tips for addressing conflict. Number 1, be proactive. You know it's going to happen, so go ahead and make a plan B. Conflict delayed is conflict multiplied. That was a quote by Jordan Peterson. Number 2, approach in humility. Humility helps to disarm and de-escalate. So this is what you could say. Hi, how can I help you? This question worded that way um, immediately indicates to them that you're trying to help them. This question helps take their temperature. So if they're hot or cold or what's going on with them. And then it'll help you decide about, on a scale of 1 to 10, how angry they are and how bad is the situation. You could say, would it be helpful if, fill in the blank, or I'm sorry, blank happened, or thank you for blank, or can you help me understand blank, or would you be willing to blank. Number 3 is listen first. Don't come in trying to solve the problem. Listen first, hear them out until they're done. And that's hard. That's probably the hardest thing to do is to listen. Review for reflection is number 4. Sometimes when people hear it from your perspective, it clicks for them. Sometimes if you and your spouse are bickering back and forth, and you can try to clarify by saying, so what you're saying or what I'm hearing you say is this. And then the other spouse might say, no, that's not what I said at all. So you can deflate an argument really quick by understanding. So, advise for best course of action. Questions for perspective when determining the best course of action. Here's some for you. What is best for the kids? If the kids are involved, what decision will be best for them? What is best for VBS as a whole? Sometimes you have to make decisions that not be what someone wants because it's best for VBS VBS as a whole. What is best for the individual and what's best for the other parties involved. So number 5 was advice for best course of action. So here's the 5 tips for addressing conflict. Be proactive, approach in humility, listen first, review for reflection, advise for best course of action. So here's what you want the outcomes to be. You want it to be resolution. You can accommodate when possible. It's not detrimental that you do that, as long as it's okay for the VBS as a whole. The goal is to de-escalate and bring harmony. Sometimes conflict is over something like small, like that was blown out of proportion. If compromise is possible, that's a win. The second thing you can do is redirect. You can redirect the people who are having conflict to a new or a different role. If a solution or a compromise can't be reached regarding the situation, consider redirecting the volunteer to a whole different role. Number 3 is respite. If the parent or the volunteer continues to escalate when you're talking to them and you can't come to a resolution or a compromise, it may be time for a respite day. Say, take a break and let's talk about it tomorrow. And then, unfortunately, the last step would be removal. So this isn't ideal, and it should be a last resort when all options have been exhausted. If you've heard them out, make an attempt to resolve the situation and de-escalate the conflict. If they refuse to make any adjustments, or if they're being a distraction, causing safety or security concerns, there are rare situations when you may have to ask them to leave. So we talked about a word called de-escalation. So here are some tips. Change locations. Sometimes walking with them down the hall or to the office area and removing them from the source of what's causing them a problem can help lower the tension. If needed, invite them to sit down with you to talk. Sitting is more casual, relaxed in posture. Invite them, provide options, give them some options, and then ask questions. Questions are determining questions. You're trying to figure out what's going on. And then offer to revisit the situation later. I had a few quotes here that I wanted to share with you. Another more central theme is always present in the Bible's picture of a hero. From start to finish, no matter what story is being told, the biblical hero is the person who is obedient to God. That's by Jonathan Lehman in his book Authority. So treat these people with a God's lens, and then share scripture with them. And always, whatever you do at the very end, pray with them. I know that in situations that I've had in my life, personal situations, work situations, when people point me to the scripture and they pray with me, it makes things so much better. So here's another quote by Jonathan Lehman. If the purpose of authority is to grow the one we're leading, the second purpose is to grow ourselves as we lead. So all of this resolution stuff is to grow you, I believe. Another one is exercising authority teaches people what God is like. I love that. That's my favorite quote of the book Authority by Jonathan Lehman. Exercising authority teaches people what God is like. So in conflict resolution, do what you can to teach people what God is like.